होना चाहिए कि बच्चों को बहुत कुछ आता है, ये इशू हो गया, ठीक? Okay. So what are risk impacts? At any point in time, some very high impact risks may require less urgent attention than some lower impact risks. Some risks may arise at any time and recur through the life of the project. Such risks require continuous attention unless effective action to remove them can be taken. Some risks may be more likely to occur in the short term in an imminent stage of the project works. Other risks may be unlikely to occur until a later stage in the project, with the possibility that action to manage the risk in the immediate future can take a more passive form for the time being. Urgency may be mitigated by the scope for interim stopgap action that might gain time for further analysis and postpone costly deployment of resources. Of course, urgency is reduced if risks have been identified. So when you're developing a risk mitigation plan, you must know most of the risks and their methods of actually knowing what are those risks, and we'll talk about those methods. Risk management plan. The risk management plan describes how risk identification, qualitative and quantitative analysis, response planning, monitoring, and control will be structured and performed during the project life cycle. The risk management plan does not address responses to individual risks. This is accomplished in the risk response plan. So the first thing that you have to do in the development of the risk management plan is the risk identification. Risk management is concerned with identifying risks, drawing up plans to minimize their effect on a project. Qualitative. The qualitative risk identification is done through these methods. These are some of the methods through which you develop a list for the risks. List for the risks. That means all this process, at the end of this process, you will develop one into list for the risk. And these are assumption analysis, checklists, prompt lists, brainstorming, facilitated workshops, and interviews. What are these? Assumption analysis. Making assumptions in a project will always create risk, and a way to help manage this is to list all the assumptions of each phase or stage of your project against a timeline. Then think about the consequences of the assumptions and how they affect the other parts of the project. For example, आप project शुरू करते हैं, one of the assumptions in the project is that your cash flow will be maintained by the owner. ये एक assumption, एक general assumption, right? That cash flow is going to be maintained. Now, since this is an assumption, you jot down all the assumptions in the project and start analyzing the assumptions. Out of this one assumption that you assumed, that the cash flow will be maintained by the owner, you can jot down the risks out of this assumption. If the owner is not going to maintain the cash flow, risk ho gaya, what is going to happen, right? So you jot down all the assumptions in the project and then start enlisting the risks which are emanating out of that. ठीक हो गया? The next thing that you do to develop the list is the checklists. Now, what are the checklists? Risk checklists are often built upon a project or program manager's past experience of the project, management experience of an organization. They will normally take into account. Now, what is this? You as a project manager have already done a project, similar project in the past. With your experience, you start jotting down the expected risks coming out in a project. And you develop a checklist. For example, out of the quality experience that you had, what are the risks? Out of the formality of development, what are the risks? Novelty of application, what is the risk? Impact on the business, what are the risks? Requirement standards, what are the risks? Software identification, project concurrency, dependencies, project duration, flexibility of delivery, planning estimates, stability of the supplier, range of the sites, impact upon the status quo. So you start jotting down these checklists, and on each item in the checklist, you start finding out. For example, just a word, quality experience. Quality experience will have so many risks under it. राइट? मटेरियल कहाँ से आएगा, मटेरियल का स्टैंडर्ड कौन चेक करेगा, स्टैंडर्ड अगर गलत हुआ है तो क्या हुआ, अगर मशीन की कैलिब्रेशन ठीक ना हुई तो कौन सी वर्कशॉप यूज़ करेंगे, कौन सी who is going to be the responsible, how much cost would it entail to check the quality, if the quality does not match, what's going to happen. All these risks can just come out of one quality. Literally quality experience can generate dozens of risks in a project. Right? So a project manager just uses these checklists to enlist the risks. The next is the prompt list. Now what's a prompt list? Risks here will be identified by logical examination of each program or project following the list of common areas. There are some common areas which can really remind you of certain kinds of risks. What are these? These are, for example, human resource. Human resource is a common management area, HR. Out of the human resource as a common area, you can pinpoint risks out of personnel, health, for example, personnel relating to the availability and retention of the staff, health and safety relating to the well-being of the people. Then is external, infrastructure, economic, legal and regulatory, environmental, political, market, and act of God. All these risks can come out of the external factors. There could be some financial factors, budgetary, fraud or theft, insurable, capital investment, liability, right? All these are. Then is some risks which come out of the activities that you undertake in the project. You undertake some activities in the project, those activities can generate risks. These could be policy risks, because the policy, because the information, operational risks, reputation risks, transferable risks, technologist risks, project risks, innovation risks. Okay, next list is comes out from the brainstorming or the SWOT analysis. Within the SWOT analysis, risks are identified by looking at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You jot down your strength, and from there the risks would come in. You jot down your weaknesses, from there the risks would come. You jot down your opportunities, and your risks would come in. You jot down your threats, and you'll be able to generate the risks. जी आइडेंटिफाई करने के लिए यूज होता है SWOT एनालिसिस. बड़े आसानी से SWOT एनालिसिस से आपके रिस्क जनरेट होते हैं. ओके, द नेक्स्ट method is facilitated workshops. Now what's a facilitated workshop? A facilitated workshop is a structured approach that enables a group of people to work together to reach a predetermined objective. The participants explore the risks and make decisions in the workshop. These workshops are supported by skilled facilitators to ensure that the predetermined objectives are achieved. Facilitated workshops can be used at any time in a project. तो शुरू में नहीं, आप रास्ते में भी कोई अगर प्रॉब्लम आ गया ना, तो आप एक वर्कशॉप होल्ड करते हैं in order to resolve the problem. उसमें लोगों को बुला लेते हैं, उनसे डिस्कशन करते हैं, and you find out if what are the predetermined or solutions to an issue. Another method of jotting down the list or enhancing your list is through interviews. Now interviews किसको करते हैं? आप जाते हैं और एक्सपर्ट्स को, फॉर एग्जांपल आप रोड बनाने जा रहे हैं और एक नया मटेरियल यूज़ करने जा रहे हैं, तो नया मटेरियल जिसने पहले यूज़ किया हुआ है आप उसे बुला लेते हैं, उसे कहते हैं यार तूने ये पहले मटेरियल यूज़ किया हुआ है, टायर्स यूज़ किए, इसके बारे में तुम्हारा क्या ख्याल है. तो आप अपना एक पूरा इंटरव्यू तैयार करते हैं, उससे इंटरव्यू लेते हैं और उससे वो उसके रिप्लाइज लेने की कोशिश करते हैं जो आप समझते हैं जिनसे रिस्क एमिनेट हो सकते हैं, और वहाँ से आप जॉट डाउन करते हैं कि अच्छा ये रिस्क भी है, ये रिस्क भी है. Interviews conducted to identify risks will only be successful where there is a good preparation, clear objectives, a positive and supportive environment, proper time management, use of open questions, and challenging, not the confrontational atmosphere. The results of interviews should be well documented. आप उसको document करते हैं और वहाँ से जो risk आते हैं. The next step is the analysis. Now, आप analysis करने जा रहे हैं कि कौन सा risk का impact high है, right? So risk analysis. This is done to assess the probability and seriousness of each risk. Probability may be low, medium, high, or extreme, and risk effects might be catastrophic, serious, tolerable, or. For example, एक risk है जिसकी probability बहुत high है, लेकिन अगर वो occur हो गया तो उसकी वजह से जो इम्पैक्ट है वो बहुत ज़्यादा हाई हो सकता है, कैटास्ट्रॉफिक हो सकता है, ठीक. सो यू हैव टू कीप दैट थिंग, वो दैट मे बिकम अ हाई रिस्क फैक्टर. Qualitative risk analysis. Qualitative risk analysis feeds smoothly into the succeeding processes. One good reason for using qualitative risk analysis, even if you intend to use the quantitative analysis, is to filter out the minor risks first, so you don't waste time and resources analyzing minor risks. You come out of the qualitative analysis with a good idea of overall project risk, which will be important to your stakeholders. Moreover, you have prioritized your identified risks, and you are ready to either go on into the more quantitative analysis or developing your response plan. So you get into a qualitative risk analysis so that you find out which are the likely and more risks with more impact, and from there you decide as to what are the risks for which you will go into the qualitative risk analysis. Now, qualitative risk analysis outputs overall risk ranking for the project based on the red condition risk. List of the priorities risks by condition, red, yellow, green, by impact type, cost, schedule, scope and quality, and by data precision, risks requiring further analysis and management, and the analysis trends. This is how you do a risk quantification. You have a probability of a risk, and you have consequences of a risk, or the impact of a risk, right? You multiply the impact with the probability, and you find out what is the number that you get. If you get high, and you make a decision as to anything with this kind of color is going to be my high impact risk. Risk probability into impact, 1:2 is low, 3 to 4 medium, 6 to 8 high, and 9 is extreme. So you from here you multiply the probability of occurrence with the impact of a risk to find out what is going to be the overall seriousness of the risk. This is exactly what it is. Risk score you develop a risk score system that job पीछे उसमें देखा आपने. This is a probability of occurrence. It could be for a particular risk, right? You think that the probability of occurrence is 0.1 or 0.9 or whatever, and impact on an objective, for example, cost, time, scope, and you think it could 5% impact, 1%, 10% impact, 20% impact, 40% impact, or 80% impact. So what you do is, if you think on a cost, there is going to be an 80% impact because of a risk, and there is only a probability of 5% or 10% that this risk will occur. So you multiply 0.80 with 0.1 and you get a number, and that number is 0.08, that is 8%. But if you think that this 80% of risk can have a probability of 90% of occurrence, then you multiply this number with this number and you find out this is that risk score, 0.72. ये बात समझ आ गई? A probability of occurrence of a risk with the impact of the risk on the project को आपस में multiply करते हैं, तो आपको पता चलता है कि how high is the risk. Now I keep giving examples to my kid. I have 2 cars, for example. I have more than 2 cars, but for example, I have 2 cars, and there is only one porch in which I can park 1 car, right? Now I have a Corolla and I have a Prado. Which car should I park in the porch? All of you think Prado, right? Okay, let me change the car. I have a Range Rover car, and I have a Corolla car, right? Range Rover देखी हुई ना, बड़ी ज़बरदस्त गाड़ी है. I have only one place to park. Range Rover ही, फैसला ये हुआ Range Rover ही. नहीं, पोर्च के साइज में दोनों गाड़ियां खड़ी हो सकती, लेकिन आपका फैसला हो. अच्छा, मैं थोड़ा सा एनालिसिस करते. There is a probability, there is about 90% probability that if I park my car in that street, right, Corolla car, if I park my Corolla car in that street, that will be stolen. There's a 90% probability. एक सेकंड ठहर ना, पहले मेरी बात सुन लें, ठीक? The value of the car is 1 lakh rupees. मैं example दे रहा हूँ, and there's a 90% probability that it will be Now my Range Rover costs 2 lakh rupees, but there's only 10% probability that it can be stolen.
रेंज रोवर बाहर
फिर रेंज रोवर के बाहर खड़ा कर दिया ना आपने, फौरन इस तरह करके खड़ा कर दिया, जस्ट बिकॉज यू डिड एन एनालिसिस कि यार ये तो मैंने गाड़ी बाहर खड़ी की तो हर हालत में मेरी तो कोई ले जाएगा, ठीक है। प्रोबेबिलिटी कैसे हुए, 0.9 कितनी थी, 1 लाख थी और 90%, 0.9 प्रोबेबिलिटी इंटू 1 लाख कितनी बनी, 90,000। दूसरी तरफ 0.1 प्रोबेबिलिटी इंटू 2 लाख कितनी बनी। तो मेरा जो इम्पैक्ट है, एक का 90,000 का इम्पैक्ट है और दूसरे का ओनली 20,000 का इम्पैक्ट है। सो आई मस्ट, माई डिसीजन इज दैट आई मस्ट पार्क माई Corolla inside, right? So this is the utility of actually doing a scoring.
ये एक साल पहले पढ़ा होता था, मेरी गाड़ी चोरी ना होती। अब ये साल नहीं हुआ सर।
अच्छा, हाँ ऐसे ही करते हैं।
अब तो मुझे 20 मिनट्स में पता चल गया था, लेकिन कोई नेवर रिकवर्ड।
नहीं, कोई भी नहीं उसको हाथ ही नहीं लगाएगा, वो कहते हैं मैं शीशे भी क्या करने हैं इसके। वो चाहे आपकी गाड़ी 1 करोड़ पे की है, उसको फिर भी कोई नहीं उठाएगा, क्योंकि वो कोई ले गया तो हर जगह पता चल जाएगी रेंज ओवर यहाँ से गुजरी है, ठीक है, हर एक को पता चल जाएगा। और दूसरा वो बिकेगी नहीं मार्केट में, ठीक, ये बिकेगी। ओके, जी ये मैकेनिज्म नहीं, अस्यूम करने की जरूरत तो नहीं है ना। आपको प्रोबेबिलिटी कहाँ से आती है, कितनी गाड़ियां आपके मोहल्ले में से चोरी हो चुकी हैं, ठीक है, तो प्रोबेबिलिटी आ गई वहां से, प्रोबेबिलिटी चोरी हो जाएगी। आप कहाँ पे जाके गाड़ी खड़ी करते हैं, आप जहाँ पे आपको पता होता है यहाँ से गाड़ी चोरी नहीं होती। अगर आपको ये कोई बता दे यार इस गली में से तो रोजाना एक गाड़ी चोरी होती है, तो आप बाहर अपनी गाड़ी तो नहीं खड़ी करेंगे ना, ठीक है। वो प्रोबेबिलिटी वहां से लेते हैं, और ये तो वो नंबर्स हैं एग्जैक्टली कि जो वो नंबर्स आपको नुकसान पहुंचा रहे हैं, ठीक है। तो इन दोनों का आपस में मल्टीप्लाई नहीं, प्रोबेबिलिटी इज द हिस्टोरिकल डेटा फ्रॉम विच यू गेट द प्रोबेबिलिटी, ठीक है। Quantitative risk analysis. Quantitative analysis of the probability and impact determines the probability of not achieving the project objective, determine the risk cost, schedule, and scope, quantify the risk exposure, and quantify the specific risk contributions. Now, sensitivity analysis determine which risks have the greatest effect on the project objective, examine the effects of uncertainty in the project, individual projects, and elements on the project as a whole. The next method is of making a decision on the risk is through decision trees. They are like flowchart diagrams and represent a method of looking at many options and making a decision. By analyzing the impact each decision will have, the risk of taking this decision can be forecasted and used to anticipate problems to inform the direction that the project may take. This technique is best suited to simpler situation. जहाँ पे एक आध डिसीजन लेना हो, एक या दो डिसीजन लेना हो, वहाँ पे डिसीजन ट्रीज यूज कर। जहाँ पे डिसीजन एक चेन में लेने हो बहुत ज़्यादा, तो वहाँ पे डिसीजन ट्रीज को यूज नहीं किया जाता। In complex scenarios, they can become confusing and complicated because just one probability that you take. Decision tree. Decision tree analysis में there is a plant. If you upgrade the plant, the output the cost of the material is going to be different. But if you just refurbish it, right, build a new plant and upgrade a plant. If you build a new plant, the outcome is going to be different. But if you just upgrade a plant, the price of sale is going to be different and the probability of sales. For example, आप एक फैक्ट्री लगाते हैं, उस फैक्ट्री के अंदर आप कहते हैं फैक्ट्री ऑब्सलीट हो गई है, अगर बिल्कुल नई फैक्ट्री लेके आऊँगा तो जो मार्केट में चीज़ बेच रहा हूँगा वो बहुत ज़्यादा बिकेगी और उसकी प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ सेलिंग हाई है। लेकिन अगर मैं खाली अपग्रेड करूँगा तो उसका जो खाली अपग्रेड करने से जो चीज़ बिकेगी उसकी वैल्यू इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं। तो वो ये है कि इफ़ यू बिल्ड अ न्यू प्लांट, it's going to cost you $120,000. If you upgrade the same plant, it's going to cost you only $50,000. Now, if you upgrade, if you build the new plant, there's a strong probability of 65%. The outcome is going to be 200, right? But if you just, if the probability is, if you build a new plant, there's a weak probability that's going to be at 35% and only 90, right? So the difference is between 65% and 35%. But if you upgrade a plant, the cost is going to be this much, strong probability of 120 sale and weak probability of 60 sale. So what you do is you multiply this 2000 with 65, right, and subtract 120 out of this, right? And that's how you're going to get 80 and minus 10. And if you multiply this chain strong, 120 with 65, 60 with 35, and you add them up, what you'll find out is that if you actually do upgrade, then the overall impact is going to be much lesser than, no, it's over here. The decision tree shows that the decision plant construction costs and probabilities and rewards of different product standards. Solving the tree indicates that the organization should choose to upgrade the existing plant since the value of that decision is 49. If you upgrade the plant, the value is going to be 49. But if you build a new plant, this is going to be 41.50, right? So therefore, you choose a decision in which the outcome is bigger. Okay. Risk response planning. So actually, when you do a response, you look at the cost and you make a decision what you want to do. You want to accept the risk, deflect the risk, mitigate the risk, or eliminate the risk. If you eliminate the risk, then the cost and the risk that you are undertaking is going to be proportional to what action you take in making a decision. Eliminating risk means remove the cause, alternate course of action. This should occur during the design and the planning stage. Mitigating risk, reduce the risk, use the proven technology. 1 minute, I need to answer this call because just up 2 minutes.